Ethan. He finds a highly intoxicated, incredibly vulnerable billionaire's daughter, who happens to be his boss's daughter, passed out on his couch. And he doesn't panic. He becomes this load-bearing protagonist. We see it in his immediate actions. He chooses to sleep on a freezing hardwood floor to maintain boundaries. He leaves her a bare, unvarnished 5-line note that just gives her the facts. You are safe. This is my apartment. I am in the bedroom. Instantly, as readers, we know this is a guy built to withstand pressure.
Section 2. Load-bearing tension. Acts 2 and 3.
But look, a foundation is really only as good as the weight it can hold over time, right? This is where the author expertly ramps up the rising action and the intimacy between Sloane and Ethan. This timeline perfectly captures how that tension is meticulously constructed. Because in good storytelling, you don't rush connection, you engineer it. Step 1, days later, we get that single, charged glance through the glass corridor. Step 2, over the next few weeks, Sloane just starts showing up at his 4th floor desk for, cat explanations. Step 3, she suddenly knows his exact black coffee order. And step 4, Ethan is staying late in the dark to fix a sheared bolt on her wobbly office chair. You see how romance is being built here through these tiny, almost invisible details? The author is constantly testing the structural limits of their professional boundaries, but never actually letting them cross that line.
Which brings us to a massive narrative turning point. Sloane leaves Ethan a yellow post-it note that just says, "The chair works perfectly now. You fix things." This is such a pivotal moment. The author is using this really quiet, specific prop to show us a major character shift. Sloane is starting to view Ethan not just as some structural draftsman, but as this stabilizing foundational force in her highly chaotic life. He quietly and dependably fixes what's broken.
Now, to really make us appreciate Ethan's foundational nature, the author needs a counterweight, a dark foil. Enter Tyler Ashford. Let's look at the reality of Tyler from Sloane's perspective. Their past relationship wasn't a romance. It was basically a corporate merger arrangement. The guy tracked her phone locations. He literally chose her charity boards for her. He treated her like acquired real estate. As Sloane so devastatingly puts it, Tyler leaves scars, not bruises. Purely in terms of narrative architecture, Tyler is the absolute perfect antagonist. He's a man who controls and manipulates, while Ethan supports and stabilizes. It is masterful character contrast. Section 3. The failure point, Acts 4 and 5.
But we all know every structure, no matter how much steel is in it, has a breaking point. This is the story's climax, the ultimate stress test. And the author pulls off this failure point brilliantly through a clash of 2 different stories. On one side, we have Ethan's truth, the unvarnished facts, the water, the medicine, the polite note, him sleeping on the floor. But on the other side, we have Tyler's narrative. Tyler surgically weaponizes the context-free truth. He goes to Sloane's CEO father and presents only the raw optics: a junior employee, a vulnerable daughter, a midnight apartment. Tyler actually tells Ethan, in our world, the story is what matters. Talk about a fantastic meta-storytelling moment. The author is showing us exactly how a narrative itself can be weaponized for total destruction when you completely remove context and decency.
And the fallout from that weaponized story is incredibly swift. Let's trace the steps of Ethan's exile. First, he stands in front of CEO Richard Calloway, without apologizing. Second, he tells the exact surgical truth of that night. And third, despite all that honesty, he gets reassigned, banished to a damp South Side basement renovation project. From a storytelling perspective, this is textbook visual mirroring. The author uses Ethan's physical banishment to a dark, moldy, concrete basement to perfectly reflect the emotional, absolute low point of his character's arc. He is quite literally buried beneath the surface.
Section 4. Rebuilding the Truth. Act 6.
But thankfully, the story doesn't end in that basement. This is the exact moment the narrative shifts agency. Instead of Ethan just passively enduring all this structural load, the author empowers Sloane to finally take action. Look at this quote: "I am not losing this." While Ethan is stuck in his damp exile, a courier shows up with an inter-office envelope. Inside is Sloane's pale blue clutch purse, the exact same prop from the very first act that was sitting on Ethan's coffee table, and a note with those 5 defiant words. Taking a physical prop from the inciting incident and bringing it back during the lowest point of the second act, that is brilliant narrative design. It instantly signals hope, defiance, and a total turning of the tide.
So how exactly does she pull this off? Let's break down Sloane's reconstruction. First, she rejects the parasite, meaning she completely cuts Tyler out of the picture. Second, she bypasses all the corporate rumors by going straight to the ultimate authority, her CEO father, and she just confesses the entire unfiltered truth about the suffocating pressure she's been under for 2 years. And third, she proves her intentionality with Ethan. She absolutely tears down Tyler's weaponized, context-free story by constructing her own unvarnished truth. It's a beautiful reclamation of her own agency. And then, the author drops the ultimate narrative twist. When Sloane shows up at Ethan's apartment with takeout food, she delivers this 3-word bomb. I planned you. You just have to applaud the writer here. Sloane reveals that her being at that rooftop bar on the night they met, not a chaotic, drunken accident. She had looked up Ethan's file. She knew exactly where he would be. It was a deliberately engineered destination. This completely changes the entire architecture of the story we've been reading. She wasn't some casualty he accidentally saved. He was the destination she was purposefully running toward the entire time. Total game changer.
Section 5, The Final Blueprint, Act 7.
The author jumps us forward 6 months to show us where the lines finally settle. And here, the physical completion of this massive lakefront tower beautifully mirrors the permanent reality of their relationship. At the ribbon-cutting ceremony for the tower, CEO Richard Calloway drops this profound realization, which Sloane relays to Ethan. He said, "A man who tells the truth when it costs him his job is a man you can trust with a foundation." This brilliantly ties the entire engineering metaphor back together for us. Ethan's unvarnished structural integrity ultimately defeated Tyler's superficial, manipulative storytelling. When the real pressure was applied, the truth actually held the weight.
And immediately following that, we get the real emotional landing of the explainer. Sloane places her famous blue clutch right on the shelf of Ethan's creaky, totally ordinary apartment and says, "I'm not leaving anything, Ethan. I'm arriving." She completely trades the billionaire's penthouse view for a solid foundation. The author cements the theme perfectly here, proving that a true home, and honestly, a true story, is built on the structural lines you don't always see. This material is just an absolute masterclass in using theme, metaphor, and pacing to structure a captivating narrative. So, as we wrap up today's explainer, I want to leave you with a question to chew on. What kind of foundations are you building in your own life, and who is standing in the gap with you? Thank you so much for hanging out and exploring this incredible narrative architecture with me. Keep examining the stories around you. Always look for the gaps where the current jumps, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.